Welcome to Business Mentorship, Keepin It Real, where we feature entrepreneurs and enterprise leaders who share their business stories in our guest blog, found on shareyourstories.online. Our guest is Sabrina Victoria, a podcast host, author, and time management expert. And we're going to discuss how she's able to help others create their masterpiece as the CEO of Human Better 365. And Sabrina joins us from Boca Raton, Florida. Welcome.
Thank you. So appreciate you having me on.
Listen, it's such a pleasure because I know that every single person, when I've had recent conversations in my network, we've all been talking about working smarter, not harder. And the platform to that is obviously time management. So tell us a little bit about how you've become the time management expert.
Yes. Well, one of the things that I love to talk about, or I guess not talk about, is this word procrastination. I don't know about you, but so many of my clients, when I first take them on, there's this guilt or this feeling of, one, doing all the things all the time, and then two, procrastinating with all the things all the time. And this balance or this ebb and flow that so many individuals have this guilt and this shame upon them because they're comparing themselves to other entrepreneurs out there and they're feeling as if they're doing it all wrong. So one of the things that I love to touch on in just these short little spurts is this word procrastination and how I believe, or I teach, that the entire thing is just a myth. To me, we're always procrastinating all of the time. There is no way to get away from this thing that so many of us feel these feelings about, because you and I right now, look at us. Well, right now we are being productive, right? We're being productive in our business. You're working on your side, doing your thing. I'm working on my side, doing my thing. We're being productive. However, in this core of 15, 20 minutes that we're hanging out here, there are 100 other things that we're procrastinating on that are equally as important when it comes to running a business. So when you're saying yes to one thing in your life, you are also saying no to everything else in your life. So one of the things that I teach is, instead of talking about time management, instead of talking about procrastination, let's focus on two things. And those two things are energy, how much energy you have, and attention. Where is your attention? Because time, you can't really manage it. Time is just flowing, right?
That's
Right now,
true.
we've been talking now for a few minutes. I've been talking now for a few minutes. There's nothing we can do to try to organize the time.
Correct.
But what we do have control over is how our energy, how much energy we have at certain times during the day, and where we are actually placing our attention. So I talk a lot about, as far as, do you know when your peaks of energy are?
Oh, that's a really good point because, there's lots of people that say, oh, I'm a morning person. I get everything done between 5 and 8 in the morning. And, because I love getting up with the sun and, all of those things. And other people say, oh, geez, no, yeah, like I need my sleep till noon. And then I'm really productive in the afternoon. So that's a super good point because
Yeah.
I think when we're entrepreneurs, especially if we're a solopreneur or even if we're leading a team and we may or may not be going into the office, we force ourselves to try to be productive during that 8-hour time frame, right?
Yep.
So we put so much pressure on ourselves to be productive, maybe when it's not the best time for us to be productive.
Exactly. That's
So
the thing.
how do we manage that with our teams? Because if, say, I'm an afternoon person and you're a morning person and we're both working in the same company, how do we manage our time so that we're both being productive when it's the best time for us?
100%. One of the things that I talk about is health. And I know that that just sounds so cliche. If you are working at a job, a 9 to 5, there isn't a whole lot around that, obviously. So making sure you're at peak health, getting in the right foods at the right time, the right nutrition, and the right exercise. One of the things that I have found with several of my clients that are in this predicament of working for somebody else is they've lived a certain part of their life working out every morning. They work out in the morning, but then they're seeing this huge drudge of energy fall right around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, where they just don't want to be doing anything. So what we've worked on is possibly switching that workout to maybe asking boss, like, hey, listen, can I get an hour lunch versus a half hour lunch? Come in a half hour early, or whatever that is, working out in the afternoon, and or switching it to working out at night. Now, obviously, if you're in the habit of doing that, switching that around might seem like a huge inconvenience for some people. However, when you're talking about making sure that you're implementing the right amount of energy throughout a certain amount of time, switching up the way that you're doing your daily life might be the best thing for you, as far as not hitting that lull right around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's just one, small tidbit.
That's a really great example, because one of the things that we've all been doing, hopefully in the last few years, is we've been spending a lot more time outdoors, or we've been spending a lot more time doing extracurricular things, and because we've had the flexibility with time and work. But to your point, lots of folks are going back to the office. And so that creates a whole new opportunity, or a whole new dynamic around time and how we're going to manage that time. Yeah. Now, how do you action? So say, as an example, you're really motivated by going out for a walk, and you've decided, I'm going to walk for my half-hour lunch. I'm going to walk and talk with my colleagues, or I'm going to eat my sandwich while, I'm on the move. How do you action some of the other things? So when you get to that 3 o'clock lull, because I think all of us have that lull in the afternoon. So is it the right snack? Is it the right nutrition? Is it maybe taking a 5 or 10 minute break and having a coffee boost in the afternoon? Are those all things that are doable for folks in order to get their energy level back up?
Yeah, love that you mentioned coffee, because I do not push coffee. I am not a coffee drinker myself. To me, coffee is just something like a Band-Aid to kind of cover off that lull. You're not getting enough sleep. You're not getting enough water. Not hitting the gym the way that you should be hitting the gym to really get that adrenaline running. One of the things that I do in my own world of entrepreneurship, which anyone can do, is there's these things in our work day that I call zombie tasks. They're tasks that are kind of done without a whole lot of brain power, whether it's copy or pasting, whether it's calls where you don't really have to be on, but just like catch-up calls, things that you need to be doing throughout your day in order to keep the ball rolling, but they don't really take a lot of mental and emotional fortitude to actually do them. So during those lulls in my day, which is usually around that time, because I do wake up at 5 a.m. and I do work out. So I do have a lull right around 1, 2, 3 o'clock is when I do my zombie tasks. So tasks that I can literally just completely zone out, not really even be paying attention to what I'm doing, but then still make sure that I am being productive versus, taking a nap or falling asleep in my car, or just, head down on the computer. I know I've done that before, where literally I'm in the middle of something and literally just falling asleep while I am doing it. And a lot of those tasks are things where I have to be up, so I'm standing, or I'm going back and forth to a copier, or taking phone calls where I can be walking around, like you're saying. So really cutting my tasks into ones in the morning that really need my mental and emotional ability to be able to function, like high-end sales calls where you're asking for a lot of money. You got to be totally on podcasting like this. And then also my zombie tasks that can be done during that lull in the day.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, one of the things that you're saying is prioritizing your to-do list, or the list of action items that you want to take that day around your energy level.
Exactly. Yep. That's all it is. So prioritizing them 1 to 3, or some people do 1 to 4, and then the 3s and 4s would be considered your zombie tasks. I do 1, 2, 3s. So 1 is high, 2 is medium, and then 3 are my zombie tasks.
Oh, that's a really good point. Prioritizing the priority list is almost how to maximize your opportunities throughout the day. Now, you're a podcast host, and you have a number of different podcasts, actually. So give our viewing and listening audience a little bit of background into how you decided to start to share the stories of other folks. Was it because you were trying to help your own target market to sort of see that they're not alone? There's lots of other people that are experiencing the same things. Give us a little insight into the sort of light bulb moment that created your podcast journey.
Yeah, my podcast journey just started with me wanting to tell my own story. I mean, that's how it all, I just wanted a platform to tell my own story. And then through that storytelling and me on my own healing journey, other people just kind of started to come out of the woodworks just in relatable stories, or I'm so sorry, or good for you, or,
Right.
my story is the same as your story. And throughout that process, me just kind of recognizing and seeing where the world was going as far as podcasting, and then reaching out and saying, hey, would you maybe
Let's
want to be
talk.
on the podcast?
Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk.
Yeah. And it just kind of, I wasn't trying to, I know nowadays people start a podcast in order to really create something or pull, into their business. I literally just fell into it. I wasn't necessarily trying to do anything with it. I was just trying to navigate my own story myself.
Sure.
And it has. I mean, I have turned my main podcast, which is her version, female-based podcast on storytelling, into the actual main part of my business and how I really pull a community towards me. But it's evolved into that.
Sure. Now, how did you come up with the name Human Better 365? Because I absolutely love the name of your business. And I'm making the assumption that 365 is based on the number of days in the year that you have to, we have to work on ourselves in order to achieve our goals and objectives.
Yes. So I've always loved the word human. I just think that human is just such a powerful word that we don't really acknowledge what it means to be human. I just think it is like magnificent. So me putting such a high value on this word, how awesome is it to not only say that it is a noun, but it is also a verb? Like, that is how powerful it is. So to be a human and then also to human. So really flipping it on its backside as far as what it means to be human. And then also this concept of, if we just do 1% better every single day in evolving our mental, emotional, physical, financial health or wealth, what that would look like after 365 days or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 years, on dedicating some time to ourselves and how we're evolving as a human.
That's such a wonderful visual, adding a little percentage of something each and every day, so that at the end of 365 days, what have you actually accomplished? How much better do you feel? Yeah. What is your contribution back to your own personal community? Because I think that's really something that's very important in today's day and age, as far as being a leader, is being able to contribute back to our communities. So, clients are not just customers. We end up establishing relationships, to your point about the human connection, right? Yeah. Because we only do business with people that we feel we have a human connection with. But exactly. I think we've totally forgotten to say, I think that you're awesome and I would like to learn something from you. Yeah. So, and that all comes from personal introductions or referrals, or seeing a podcast like this and saying, wow, that person is really amazing. I'd like to talk to them a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So do you find that in the work that you do and the leaders and folks that you work with, is there a quality or a personality trait that you find that is similar amongst the people that are in your community?
Heart-centered and high empathetic vibes.
Those are really two great ones, right?
Yeah.
Because you certainly can't be human if you don't have empathy.
Yep, 100%. And it wasn't like I went seeking those people out, just that
they attracted to you.
Yep, exactly.
Right? So do you think that our empathy has changed, Sabrina, in the last little while? I mean, the whole world's been kind of turned on a whole new vibe. We've kind of had I remember being a child with those little tops, that we used to spin. And I think the world's been on this like huge whirlwind. Do you find that empathy has changed for people?
As far as people acknowledging it, yes. I grew up what I was always called a crier or somebody who was weak or somebody who here she goes again. And me really seeing my vibrations or my emotions as being something that were bad, something that had to be hidden, something where I had to run to the bathroom and hide or apologize for. And, when I hit my personal healing journey or my personal development journey is when I really came to acknowledge like this thing that I have inside of me as far as being able to vibe off of somebody else's, facial recognition or their eyes or um, a micro expression that I see and the fact that I can vibe off of that is a superpower, is
Yeah.
something that I now consider magnificent that I can do as far as feeling people's feelings. Now, keeping it in check is another thing, right? That's a
Sure.
whole nother healing journey that I myself have been on. But yes, 100%. I think that we are the world is changing. These individuals that do have these superpowers, as far as being able to sense that stuff, is now considered like a quality in the work environment to have individuals within your space that do have that quality, because it has to be balanced, right? There
Right.
has to be people who fit certain types of personalities, categories in order for our businesses to really start to ramp up in the direction that you want them to go in. There has to be, and that's one of them. I think empathy is one of them.
That's a really good point. We shouldn't necessarily hire people that are like us. We need to hire people who are not like us, because that's the only way that we're really going to be able
Yep.
to learn from each other and creatively begin to brainstorm and take our businesses to the next level, right? I mean, it takes some great ideas, and we can't get that if we're only talking to people who are exactly the same as us.
100. Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
Now, one of the things that we do in the guest blog is we share 3 words of advice. And I am especially interested in hearing the backstory for your 3 words, because they are really very empowering, and they are everything is okay.
Yeah. So this has been with me for well over a decade, maybe 15, 16 years. My story is pretty intense as far as the
Your
roller
personal
coaster that
journey.
the
Yeah.
universe has given me.
Yeah.
And throughout that journey, there was a point every single day when I thought that the world was going to come to an end and I was going to die because I just couldn't take it anymore. And then I hit a point where I had been through so much and I had done so much and I had overcome so much that I started to really stand on this foundation of everything's okay.
Right.
Like everything's going to be okay and everything is okay. And just this is the reassuring mantra that I say to myself to this day whenever I feel this anxiety or this pulsating through my body of oh my gosh, what is
Yeah.
going
Overwhelmed. Yeah.
on?
We all
Yes.
get overwhelmed, right?
Yes, just reminding myself that everything is okay, taking a few moments in silence, and then getting right back to what is the next right step or the next right thing to be doing in whatever I'm doing. It could be
Right.
relationships, health, business, it could be within anything, but just this acknowledgement to myself that everything is okay and we can just take a step forward.
You know what? That's such a wonderful way for us to end our conversation today, because that's a very powerful takeaway for each of the folks who have joined us, to be able to really realize, give yourself a break. Everything is going to be okay. So I'd like to thank you so much for joining me and sharing not only some great tips on time management, but on just life in general and how we navigate some of the challenges that we deal with. So thank you so much. To those of us who have joined us today, I'd like to thank you for tuning into this edition of Keeping It Real, where we introduced you to the person behind the logo. I'm Trish Tonai, founder and host for the series. And if you're interested in sharing your business story, visit our website at shareyourstories.online. And all of the information so that you can connect with Sabrina will be available in the drop-down menu on either the podcast or the video link. So thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to meeting you next time when we share another great idea.